All right, looks like we're live. Probably gonna get to work already. That window might be a bit problematic. Yeah, now I can actually see what I'm doing. All right. Let's have a look. All right, now I gotta go ahead and share this on all the socials so people actually know how to come and look at this. Allergy season. Still got time to wait for people to actually show up a little bit more. I hate allergies. Really annoying. Luckily, I'm only going to be working with wood dust, so you know it's not going to get any worse or anything. Hey, you got someone. All right, I'm gonna get to work. Hope you can hear me and see me all right. So I'm gonna be cutting up some fret slots, and in order to get them all same depth, I'm just adding a little bit of masking tape onto my saw here. That's sort of like depth stop. Okay. Now, I'm trying to think now. Yeah, I'll cut the slots a little bit deeper on all the necks. I have 5 to go, and only after that I'll start putting in the radius and then recut the slots, because now that I'm going to cut them straight, they're not going to be following the radius of the fretboard, so it's going to be a bit different to the final finished thing. I think I'm going to put a little bit more light so I can actually see what I'm doing a little bit better. All right. Now, the issue I have, or more, 2 of the issues that I have are the fact that there's a second-hand saw, and as much as I've tried to sharpen it, it's not that great. It's not as sharp as I want it to be. So cutting ebony is a little bit of a hassle. and my work surface wobbled a bit, as you can see from the camera wobbling. And it's really funny because what was it? Yes, on Friday, I think, or yesterday, not sure which. It was the anniversary of the first ever IP stream on Facebook. Now, this is the first time I've streamed on YouTube, so this is a bit different. But in general, I always find streaming is a little bit, you know, more fun than filming by yourself, especially if you have commentary or people actually commenting, because then you can have sort of feedback and back and forth with your audience. Wobbling quite a bit. Just don't have any better place to actually put the laptop. Bit annoying. But yeah, so last weekend we were doing some routing with Jay, and I got binding channels done on all the necks. Don't know if you can actually see that there or not. But for the production models. Now, this is going to be the first time that I'm doing wood binding on guitars that I make. And I'm really looking forward to it because it is going to look pretty damn cool. This is going to be for the spalted birch top with the resin river in the middle. It's going to have birch binding. I'm going to show you a couple of different examples here. The ones with the Karelian birch veneer tops, those are going to have the Karelian birch binding as well, which I need to cut up. Then the Bubinga top Icarus is going to have Bubinga. Now that's going to look really freaking cool. I wonder if we can focus on that or not. And that should look pretty decent. So I'm looking forward to doing that. And of course, yeah, I'll add a little bit at the end too. Then for 7-string T-type, and that's going to have ebony binding, which I still need to cut down to size a little bit better, because currently it's a bit bulky on one end. As you can see, I've started cutting. Maybe you can see there. I've started cutting through it, but it's a bit of a pain. I'm thinking that I might just glue it onto the neck and then trim off the excess. Might be a bit easier to do that way around. And yeah. The after hours guitar, there's still plenty to go on that one. Not currently filming with that camera. That will come later though. Now these pack saws are really, really nice if they're sharp. Like I said already, mine isn't the greatest. But it's good. There always a thing to note that you shouldn't ever directly clamp onto the surface that you're working on, because you might put dents into the wood. So instead, I'm using little blocks of ebony in this case, in between. You can hear how the teeth aren't really cutting that great. At least I think you can hear. I hope you can hear. Let's do a little Instagram thing too. Share it on Facebook. Didn't share on Twitter because I don't like Twitter. I should get onto that because everybody's using it, but. All right, so we are live. Go on to YouTube, go check out Livestream, and come hang out. My Instagram updates are always so strange and awkward because I'm just a strange, awkward person. All right, so we are live. Go on to YouTube, go check out. Yeah. Oh, hey. Just noticed we broke 200 followers on Instagram. That's pretty cool. Awesome. Thank you to anybody who's following me. If you haven't, go check out IP Guitars on Instagram. I really wish that this saw had a pistol grip, because this is a very awkward way of cutting, because it has just a straight handle on it. But if it was a pistol grip, it would be much easier to kind of saw with it. Granted, I could make my own, but I got so many different projects going on. Yeah. Now I could. Filming a little bit. This is kind of a sort of behind the scenes of what I usually do. Except now, of course, I don't have any commentary going on at the same time because I'm filming this. And well, technically I could. I have my phone. I usually use my phone to record the audio through lav mic, but I'm not going to do that now. I'm just going to concentrate on the stream and getting stuff done. Now I hope that, well, first off, I hope everyone is staying safe in the current way of the world right now. And secondly, I hope that there's going to be a sort of video that's going to be saved from me doing this. Because I don't know if you need to have a certain amount of subscribers or something like that for the VODs to save automatically, or whether it always happens. So, yeah, I should explain. The reason why I'm streaming is because I didn't have a video ready for today, because usually on Sundays I post a video. But I didn't want to rush the next video because I have ideas on a new way of doing things, and I'd rather do it well instead of rushing and making something subpar. So yeah. So that's why you have this stream. I'm just babbling to, so far, one person. Whoa, that's shaking so much. But yeah, how are you guys doing on this fine Sunday? Hey, Dan, how you doing? How's your Sunday going? Yeah, one of those things. Like, I don't know if you caught what I said earlier, but yeah, the reason why I'm live streaming is because I don't have edits of a video ready for today, and I want to get it done properly. So, oh yeah, how's that going? Going along well? I'm looking forward to seeing how the whole thing's going to turn out. Everybody who hopefully, if this saves later on, onto my channel, go and check out Wonky Workshop. Give him some subscribers. I can't edit live streams, so that sucks. I always fumble my words. I'm trying to remember where this saw is from because it's secondhand and well, sharpened it myself, but it definitely wasn't this sharp when I got it. And it still isn't the greatest. And I'm wondering whether I should buy a new one. Whoa, that was not good. Yeah, it was funny looking back on, like I mentioned, that an anniversary of the first Facebook stream from when I was building the Ruby guitar. Yeah, the anniversary of which was on Friday. That during that stream, I had almost no tools or proper tools for doing any sort of work, and I was trying to do some inlay stuff, but I didn't have any chisels that were sharp. I had this, I don't even know what it was, some kind of tool, and I had a really rough scalpel that doesn't really work, and I had a plastic handle that broke halfway through, and yeah, it was just bad. I was working on it on my living room coffee table as well, so I was kind of like sitting on the floor and working, so that wasn't ergonomic either. Fortunately, nowadays I have my little electric table. Make things a little bit easier. But sharp tools is still something that I'm really, really missing because I don't have anything to sharpen tools with. So what I have is, well, gets the job done, but gives me a lot of grief. I'm thinking that at some point I'm gonna put a new top onto this table because it's pretty thin and it wobbles because it's not held together with screws, it's held together with little plastic knob things. So in order to make this function a little bit better, I think get some thicker ply, proper screws, maybe even threaded inserts, and that should grant me some stability. It's cutting, but it's cutting very slowly. It's annoying. But hey, that's one down. Probably not at the right depth yet. I still need to radius it, but that is the 7-string neck right there. And this is going to have ebony binding. So it should look pretty sweet once I get those trimmed down to the right size. And this is going to look cool. There's still some designs to be figured out and worked out, but on the first fret, there is going to be a really cool inlay, some form of candy skull, but or sugar skull, whatever you want to call those. But haven't decided on the design yet, so that's up and coming. Now I'm wondering whether I should cut some more fret slots or try and radius this, but I think I'm going to keep on doing the fret slots. So I'm actually good habit to have is going through, especially if you're making more than one of the same thing, is to repeat processes. So now I have 5 necks that are about in the same part of the build. So cutting fret slots, I might as well cut all of them on all 5. Meanwhile, Johnny's fretboard is still waiting for some LEDs to show up. Let's see if I can actually get this to show on the camera. But, there's the little inlay, and then all the fret slots themselves. So I didn't have enough LEDs to make these glow properly, so I had to order some new ones. And yeah, because of the way things are currently, suppliers haven't had good stock on things, so I have to wait. And now I decided that I'm going to buy different kinds of LEDs than the ones that I already have, and put the order through today, as well as a new fretboard for one of the bases that I'm working on. I need to still remove the fretboard off of that one and film a video of it, which is a bit scary because it's got lacquer on it, and I've only removed fretboards that don't have lacquer going all the way through, and it is also a neck through. So it's going to be terrifying in a way. I forgot that I was filming. Oh yeah, this is pretty much a closer behind the scenes look of how I do things. But being a one-man show has its faults, because I always need to keep track of what I'm filming, how I'm filming it, line up shots, and then still work around the camera. So now it's a little in the way, but I'll get through. Get a bit of a closer look too. One major update has definitely been the new panel light that I have, because it is, I'll show you. It's a good bit bigger and brighter than the previous one that I was using. So now I can actually light up my shots a fair deal better than before. I think it's going to open up. Maybe a little bit more. So I'm just opening up the fret slots just a little bit so my saw has a bit more purchase. I'm using my finger here just to keep the fret saw, just to keep the fret saw square. Okay, this is another fun thing. It's like now that you're watching me film things, you can see how much I fumble over my words all the time, and why I edit things the way I do, because I tend to keep babbling and not make a lot of sense. So sharpening the saw has definitely done something, because previously this was a lot harder than it is now. And while it's still not great, it is better than what it was. Pretty crowded here. That's just the fretboard falling off. I know I have my dead stop on the side of the side of the saw, but I'm still checking every now and then to see how far I've gotten, and not far is the answer to that question. So yeah, I'm gonna keep this going for about half an hour still, the stream, I mean. Hopefully we'll get some more people to show up too. So I have some questions that I can answer. If you are watching and you have any questions, feel free to ask. mask. Open the window. It's getting pretty sweaty in here. Don't need to film any more of that. I already have a good fit. Move the camera out of the way. Oh, if anybody's watching and you haven't seen what Johnny's next base is going to look like, then here you go. So this is going to have a glossy black finish. And you might notice that, yes, it's finished now, and it's missing all kinds of cavities and everything else. Well, this needed to be painted for Johnny's 30th birthday. So I got it done to this point. His guests got to paint all this cool stuff that you see on here. And then I'm going to finish, put some more clear coat on it, get it nice and flat. Then once we get to the bridge, once I get the neck somewhat done and up to its proper dimensions, I can do the neck pocket. When we get the pickups, I can put the pickups in. The back plate, I will need to figure out what kind of back plate, and then basically copy this onto the back plate so that we don't lose whatever has been written here. Then the interesting thing about this is on the top of it, you're not going to see any controls except for a kill switch. And that kill switch is just going to turn off the signal, because Johnny doesn't really, he likes to have the sort of set it and leave it mentality toward his pickups. So instead, the pots, the two volumes for both the pickups, they're going to be inside the cavity and covered up. So you can set them to the volumes you want, so you get the right tones that you want, and leave them inside so you don't really touch them afterwards. Then there's just going to be an output jack, and then a switch for the LED lights on the fretboard, and then a kill switch on the front just to turn off the signal in between songs. So that's going to be really cool. Now, another cool thing about this that I haven't done before, it's also going to be a headless. So it's a 5-string headless bass. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to continuing on with this. Hey there, Thomas. How you doing? Glad you could make it. So welcome to watching me desperately trying to cut some fret slots with not that sharp saw. I've sharpened it, but it's not the greatest. So this will inevitably look a bit strenuous, to say the least. Oh yeah, I was just talking about that, where I've had to kind of figure out different things to order now because suppliers are having a lot of difficulties getting things in. So we decided to go for a better fretboard for the base that I need to remove fretboard off of, different kinds of wires. And yes, this is a PAX saw, but I got it secondhand So yeah, when I got it, it was really dull, and you couldn't cut anything with it. It was basically all the teeth were rounded over, so they didn't work. Now I've sharpened it twice, and it cuts okay. So I need to get a new one probably at some point, or figure out how to properly sharpen it. Yeah, if you missed it earlier, I'm basically working on the production next right now, and they're gonna have a combination of different kinds of binding material over the fretboards. So some are gonna be birch, some are gonna be the Carillion birch, then and this little birch piece, I don't know if the camera will probably not pick it up, but it's plain birch. And then one of the eye creases with the Bubinga top, that's gonna have Bubinga binding. So I'm really looking forward to these next. They should, if I do my work properly, they should look really nice. Oh, nice. I'm all into Japanese saws these days. Oh boy, Japanese saws are amazing. I need to get me some. I don't really want to go back to Western saws. Yeah, I don't blame you. The reason why I use pack saws for fret slotting is because it has the good back and it's meant for this sort of thing. Whereas Japanese saws, most of them won't have a back to it, so they might wander a little bit more. I have one sort of off-brand Japanese saw that one of my classmates bought. He bought two on accident, so he gave me one for almost nothing at all. I used to use this quite a bit. Let's see if you can get that tooth in there. I used to use this quite a bit, but the cut that comes off it, well, it's not the greatest. Huh, well, I'll be darned. It is fairly okay. Let's see. Yeah, not for a fretboard though. It's not really cutting into it. Oh yeah, sorry, I'm stuck reading comments. I'll read them out. So if this does save as a VOD, you'll know what I'm reacting to. Oh wow, that's awesome. I dig that. I'm actually thinking of making a separate fretboard routing template because the fretboard has an overhang to the spoke wheel truss rod. Yeah. You can make a separate fretboard routing template, sure. But the way I've found to be a bit easier is instead, like with these, I usually get the necks to their dimensions, so it has the rounded off end right here. And as you can see, I do have an overhang on these. So instead, what I do, especially now that I have the binding channels, the way I did the binding channels was I had a square edge template, just a straight piece of something that I routed along to get that all the way through. Because of course I can't use a bearing, because the bearing will follow that curve there, and I don't want to risk ruining my overhang. Now technically you could do the same thing where you just first get it to the dimension of the actual fretboard or the neck itself. So a bearing cutter on this side, and you just get that trimmed out, leave that wider, and deal with that afterwards with either saw or just a straight template. And then the overhang, where you have the little, what do you call it? the spoke wheel. Yeah, spoke wheel truss rod at the end. You could technically notch that out with a chisel. I'm trying to think of different ways that you could do it, because doing a routing template just for that sort of thing might be overkill. Sure, if you can, why not? Go for it. But it's one of those things where I hate making templates, and I've had to make them now for a couple of weeks, and I don't like it, especially because the workshop has now closed up until the fall and figure out ways of doing things from home. So I have to make templates, and I don't like making templates. If you like doing that, go for it by all means. But there's definitely simpler ways that you can do it. Fret slot Japanese saws with dead stop. I've seen some of those. I need to look into it, because if they are all that, then I will definitely look into it, because I'm losing my patience with this. Quite honestly, it is annoying because it's not sharp. Or I should get this sharpened. Now, the difference between this and the 7-string that I was working on just a little bit ago is that these are just marked out with a knife, a scalpel, and then a wider knife, so they're not as deep. So this doesn't have that much purchase on it, so I need to be a bit more careful. Meanwhile, this was already something I had sawn, and I just need to make the slots a bit deeper. So it was a lot easier than this and the other 4 necks, or other 3 necks that I have to work on still. I want to keep it simple, that's the main reason. I'm more of a grab and go person, and less having to figure out the better I work. That makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. That's definitely having a template. You need to worry about things a lot less. All you need to worry about is just making sure that your templates are in the right place and you're taking off the material from the right place as well. But if you have that figured out, definitely a little easier. If I just have a template that can line up and grab, that's perfect. That will save me a lot of thinking and figuring out. Is one of those things I learned at my woodworking school. Yeah, so exactly what I said. If you just have a template and you know where it is and it's exactly where it should be, and you can figure out that it's taking away material where it should, go for it. A lot easier. I go about the way that if I have a problem that I need to figure out how to work something out, more often than not, I will first come up with the more complicated way of doing things, and only after starting to do stuff, I realize, oh, there's an easier way. Or just before I start, I'm like, why don't I just do it that way? Don't know what that's from or why I do that, but I think it might have something to do with the fact that I don't always have the necessary tools at hand, so I kind of work with what I got. And yeah, that results in some interesting decisions. But I've always been that way. I remember back in school for the final project, I made this sort of like Hobbit inspired cabinet, and first designed it and then started to work on it. We had this outside reviewer come by and look over our plans, and basically he just ended up saying that it's like, okay, well, I have nothing to comment on. It seems that you have a clear idea of what you're going to do. It's unusual and unusual methods, but you know what you're doing, so just go for it. And it ended up working out very well. And I guess I don't know. I can't really say I come from a different background with woodworking because I didn't have that much woodworking experience when I went into school. So, don't know. I guess I just overthink things. Or over-engineer things, I should say. Which has been really nice because I've learned now to kind of simplify and teach how to work on guitars thanks to Jay, because right now he's working on his version of the Pine guitar, and I've been giving him tools and advice on how to work things out, and while still keeping it fairly minimal. If he has a question, I answer, and we go from what tools we have at our disposal because we can't go to the workshop. So it's looking very, very good. I've learned how to simplify some processes, definitely with the tools that we have, and it's worked out pretty well. One of the things that does suck though is doing truss rod channels without any tool to do that. So that's something still that needs to be figured out because I need to do a truss rod fairly soon. The cabinet, I think that should be on the IP Facebook page. I have a feeling, might be. I'm gonna have a look here. How much do I plan to sell my production models for? That really depends on the spec. Currently, the first batch, I'm looking at, I guess, a starting point of 1.2K. And depending on the spec that they end up having, that might change a little bit. But in between the 1.2 and 1.5, I think is going to be roundabout. But hey, here's that cabinet. So they have these bifolding doors, and then those shelves as well, you can change the height of. And yeah, there's the doors, little accents. So you could change the height of, and you could also collapse those so they fold it up. And yeah, my teacher was telling me this whole time that I should do things on the CNC as much as possible, but I decided that why am I going to woodworking school if I'm just gonna do things on the CNC? He said that that's the future and that's the way you should do it, but I put my foot down and I wanted to do everything by hand, so I did the carves with spoke shaves, and I did as much as possible with hand tools instead of utilizing the CNC. The CNC only did one part, which was too complicated to do by hand. It was just basically a piece of MDF that then got covered in veneer, and it was one of the main structure points just inside that you can't actually see all that well, but the shape of it was just a little bit too difficult to get right by doing by hand, and there was only a limited amount of time to do it. So that's the only part I used the CNC on. And then I think I made some templates for routing on the CNC too, but all the routing I did by hand. Oh, that's cool. I really enjoy that. I can just DM you on Instagram if I have questions. Yes, please do. If you have any questions, just feel free to direct message me on Instagram or Facebook. I always answer the messages that I get. Yeah, really getting good tools from the get-go is definitely the right way to go. don't do what I did. I started off with the cheapest tools that I could find, and those led me nowhere. I only recently got a Shinto saw rasp, but before that I used this one, and it's not great. I tried to use it, but it doesn't do anything at all, and you can even hear that. Meanwhile, the Shinto, this doesn't move and this doesn't jiggle because it's built properly and it's a proper tool instead of that bulky of a tool. And then varied other pieces that weren't exactly the greatest. So get good tools from the get-go. And if you're saying that you're going to make one of those Hobbit cabinets fun, good luck to you. Do it better than I did, because I once again over-engineered a lot of parts. But a lot of fun. I would love to know where that cabinet is, because the school sold it and didn't really tell me, and I have no idea who has it. I would love to give them. I made this little booklet of how it was made, and there's the final report that I had to do, which was like 14 pages of text. And yeah, it would be cool to know who has it. So CNC is awesome, but some things are just better made by hand. Programming CNC can be a niche, but it's worth it when you're doing large scale production. CNCing guitars is fun. Yeah. I have nothing against CNCs, to be very honest. Originally, I was going to be put in charge of CNC work at Crimson, and Sam was doing finishing, but then we switched those because we realized that I love finishing, and Sam does, CAD drawing and CNC stuff on his free time, so it kind of made sense to switch those around. But yeah, nothing against CNC. I used to like drawing a rhino when I remembered more about it, but don't anymore. Frankly, for me, it's a matter of doing things by hand. I'm a lot more in control of, for instance, if I have a body blank, I'm a lot more in control of how much of it, how much wood I'm going to use. So I end up having as little waste as possible. While at the same time, if I were to just put a chunk of wood in a CNC, and something would happen, because CNCs tend to be somewhat temperamental sometimes. So if the CNC flips out and ruins the piece, then it's ruined. There's nothing you can do. If I'm always in control of doing routing stuff, then if something slips, it's not going to slip too bad, more than likely, unless I really screw up. Then it's on me. But I'm a lot happier knowing that it's my fault instead of the machine's fault and me not being able to fix it. So that's why I do things by hand. It's just what I know how to do well. And yeah, I guess just not having too many experiences with CNCs, screwing things over, and then having to waste good necks or good bodies. It's not my thing. But again, if you like CNC work and that's something you like doing, go for it. It's just not for me. No, yeah, no, I do recognize you from Instagram. Don't worry. You comment and like a lot of my stuff, and you send me the messages. So I tend to keep good track of people who comment. And thank you for commenting and watching videos and stuff like that. Yep, nothing does beat the good old hand tools feeling, unless your muscles are aching from doing work or something like that. Then it does suck. Or you slip and you cut yourself. Definitely not. I've definitely never stuck a chisel straight through my hand. Never done that either. get too much done during the stream, but I do want to show you a couple of things that have been worked on. So let's have a look here. So now the stream is kind of ending. I'm going to show you a couple of things that are up and coming. Oh, cool. Good that you keep track of followers. Some people just don't really care about their followers these days. I do. Seriously, people who comment on my videos really make my day. And people who comment on pictures or send me messages, I always answer because I really, really do appreciate it. Granted, if I got tons and tons of messages, it would take me a while to go through all of them, but I will go through all of them nonetheless. The same way with comments. I remember commenters, especially if you frequently do that. Ran out of time last weekend, but there is the neck pocket. I got most of excess drilled away from most of these bodies. And I have to say, garden luthiers, I have so much respect for you guys for doing things by hand, because my hands were killing me from drilling out excess from all these bodies. Now you saw the 7-string neck that I worked on. So here's the body. No routing done on it yet, but just excess removed. And pretty much the same goes for most of them. Here's the Bubinga top Icarus. It also has the neck pocket done. Now, before any of you asks why I haven't done the pickups just yet, or pickup cavities, that is mainly for the sake of the fact that if, I'm just gonna put this down, stand in the light. If I were to put the pickup cavities in this already, they might be off center just a little bit, even if I have a center line, because of how the neck will sit. So once I have the neck seated in, then I'll mark out where I want my pickups, because even slightly, like if the neck is straight like this, even if there's a slight turn like that, then the pickups will be completely off, because that center line that would have gone straight like here will now go like this. I'm exaggerating, but nonetheless, you get my point. So in order to get the pole pieces for the pickups in the correct positions, I am first seating in all the necks for all the bodies, and then marking out where I want my pickups so that they'll actually be in the right place. That is one of those things that I would love a CNC to do, is just to get the neck pocket done and the pickup positions done. That would save so much time, because it is an arduous thing to do by hand if you don't have all the proper tools. Especially for me, because I only have one router bit. Well, I have two, but I can't use one of them because it's too big and it has the wrong size shaft on it. Yeah. But hey, it is time for me to go, because I gotta get on to doing other things today. Thank you for stopping by and watching. And hopefully this will save on YouTube, so that people who didn't catch it live will be able to see it later. I'm just going to answer this one last comment. So, yeah, exactly. I'm building my first one, and sadly with my grandpa, he doesn't care about those tight tolerances. Like, he just goes, "You don't notice," etc. And I'm like, "Sorry, that's right." Yeah, there's a lot of different schools for woodworking. For guitar building especially, everything needs to be just so. Whereas For instance, I come from a background of furniture making. Tolerances aren't that big. For instance, you can have a little bit of wiggle on drawers and stuff, or a little bit of a gap on doors, because if you have too small of a tolerance, the door will not open. But going and doing things exact on guitars is definitely one thing that you have to do. It's just one of those things. It does need to be extremely accurate. And yeah, you have a great day as well. And anybody else who was watching, have a great Sunday or whatever day you're watching this, if this does actually save on YouTube. I will be back hopefully next week with a new video, and I'm really excited about it because it's going to be something very different to what I've done in the past. So yeah, looking forward to it. But hey, I'm going to go now. So see you guys. Thanks for watching.